Hello, I would like to demonstrate the Tune SQL with Plan Guide in DBA Ace Enterprise for SQL Server. Let's press the New button here. OK. Here is the Plan Guide property screen. We have to answer some questions before you can tune your SQL statement. What is your SQL statement? Is it an ad hoc SQL statement sent from program? Is it a standalone SQL statement or it is from a batch of SQL statements? If it's a standalone SQL statement, we have to input the SQL here. Or it is a SQL statement from a database object. In this demonstration, I focus on the standalone SQL statement first. We will come back on the other videos for tuning SQL batch and database objects SQL statements. Now, select Standalone SQL statement here. And then I paste the SQL statement here. And the SQL will parse first. See whether the SQL statement is a valid SQL statement. Then we press. Of course, we can test run the SQL statement first here. And this SQL statement takes 1.1 per second to complete. Now, I start the tuning of the SQL statement with Plan Guide right here and use the default values. Now our engine is going to analyze the SQL statement. Our AI engine will try to generate different plan guides according to the hints injected to the SQL statement. See, all the plan guides have been generated. A benchmark will be executed. Now it is the executing of different plan guides for the SQL statement. Now you can see that one of the plan guide has a better execution plan and with better speed so far. This one called PG1, we still have to wait for a moment to see whether there's any other plan guide will be better. Alright, the benchmark is almost finished. You can see that we have a plan guide called PG1. It's the best amount. All plan guides generated within a given quota here. Let's take a look on the plan guide. This plan guide use a loop joint hints on the SQL. It is the plan guide we can create for the SQL statement. Now I press the Create It Plan Guide. I'm going to create a plan guide with this name, and it's a standalone SQL statement, and at the SQL statement text, it is the hints option. Let me go to the SSMS to see the performance of this SQL statement. So, I execute the SQL statement here. It is the same SQL statement I just tuned in the DB Ace Enterprise for SQL Server. You can see that the SQL statements performance will be like this. The CPU time about 3000 milliseconds and elapsed time about 900 milliseconds. Here. Okay, let me go back to our product and now I create a plan guide for the SQL to see whether the performance will be better without the need of changing the source code. Okay, now the plan guide created. Here is a plan guide. It is created successfully. Okay, let's go back to the SSMS. We still remember the time here, right? Okay, let's execute the SQL again. Now, the CPU time and the execution time are much better. Now, the CPU time about 800 milliseconds. And the elapsed time is about 200 milliseconds. So it's about 4 times faster than original SQL statement with the new plan guide. So what's plan guide in SQL Server? Plan guide is a feature that provided by the SQL Server that allows you to specify an execution plan for a SQL statement without the need to change your source code. So if your application send the same SQL statement like this to the SQL Server. A new execution plan will be used, with better performance, so you don't have to change your source code. It's very helpful for those users who have third-party applications that they don't have the source code for SQL tuning. So if you got this tuning tool, you can create a better performance plan guide to tune a specific SQL statement without source code modification. Okay, now, I drop the plan guide I just created and see what happened in SSMS. I execute the SQL statement again. Now the performance to go back to the original speed, 3000 milliseconds, and 900 milliseconds for the elapsed time. Okay, let's go back to our product. So that it for the demonstration of Tune Skull with Plan Guide in DBAS for SQL Server. Thank you for watching our demonstration. Thanks.